Hey, what's up, studs? Ryan here, or MandRproductions, with a comparison of two very different sets, but still very similar in the way that they include a 501st Clone Trooper and a 501st style ATRT. So we're going to take a look at the 2013 LEGO Star Wars 75002 ATRT set versus the 2020 75280 501st Legion Clone Troopers set. Some general information on 75002 from 2013. It retailed originally for $20, adjusted for inflation. That's $22 with 222 pieces and 3 minifigs. You also got that buildable sniper droideka, so not a bad set overall. The box looks pretty sweet, and since I do have the boxes for this particular comparison, I can show them to you. That's the back side. Set 75280 of the year 2020, of course, retails for $30. No inflation adjustment because it is literally just being released. It had 285 pieces and includes 6 minifigs. And there's a backside look at the box. I'll also have the fan vote included in this comparison. You guys had a say in this thanks to the poll on my community tab. The figure selection for each set is drastically different. 2013 only saw one 501st Trooper along with Yoda, which was nice, I guess, and then a Commando Droid Captain. 2020 saw 3 501st Troopers, a couple of battle droids, and a 501st Jet Trooper. For what is essentially $8 more, you get 3 more figures, and that to me is pretty telling just in and of itself, but I think it is worth taking a quick in-depth look side by side at the 501st Troopers. Here's the two troops side by side. You can see a little bit of the printing is off on the helmets on each. That's just going to vary by each figure. But as far as the details go, I would say that the 2020 version is a little bit better. I think that we could have the argument all day as to which trooper is more accurate to what and which one everyone likes personally better. I did a poll on Instagram, and about 78% of people actually prefer the new 2020 model, at least of like the 10,000 people that voted on Instagram. That's a pretty significant data set, I would say. It is kind of interesting to see the arguments, though, between blue arms and white arms, although I think white arms are generally more accurate because only about a quarter of the 501st Trooper's arm is actually blue in universe, so it makes sense that it is more white than blue to have the arms be white. I would have really liked it if they didn't leave the waist piece completely unprinted. They could have printed a continuous print onto that. Would have looked a lot better. That's maybe my one thing I don't love about the newer 2020 figure. Underneath the helmet in 2013, we had that good old regular Clone Trooper face from the Clone Wars. However, in 2020, we have a newer, updated, what many people would consider to be more accurate to Jango Fett clone face, and that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty obvious that the 2020 set has the better figure selection, and we'll be getting the point for that category. Let's take a look at playability. So let's compare the playability of each set. The 2013 model and the 2020 model of the ATRT all have pretty much the same posability functions. You can move the feet, the legs, even like the toe thing. Like all of that is posable pretty much in the same way across each set in the exact same orientations because they're literally built pretty much the exact same way at a basic level. Obviously, the paneling and things are different on each set, but like I said, like on a basic level, it's built the same way with the same pieces, and that's why you get the same exact poses out of them. Now, where these sets differ as far as playability goes, in the case of 2013, you had this little cannon that can move left and right, and that was nice. But from a playability aspect, the 2020 version comes in with a stud shooter that has a much greater range of motion. Purely playability. Let's not be blinded by the fact that some of you might not like stud shooters, or some of you might not like the fact that they only put a stud shooter on here. This is better playability than that for what its core purpose is, I suppose. So you have to give it that at the very least, I would say. I don't like the way it looks. We'll talk about that in design, but again, play-wise, that's a nice feature. It's a stud shooter. You can't really complain about it play-wise. Now, kind of a small thing, but also kind of a big thing. On the 2013 version, you had these, antenna pieces, and they get knocked off real easy. They fall right off there. And that happens during me just moving the set. I don't usually play with it, obviously, so I can imagine this is falling off all the time when a kid would be playing with it. What they've done in the 2020 version is they put it on some Technic pieces or whatever the deal is, and you can't break it. So you now have an unbreakable thing at the back, kind of a, small case as well. You could kind of pretend these are like weapons on the back, like whatever. But kids will pretend stuff like that, and that is a cooler thing in that way than the one in the 2013 version. I also think that's a better design in general. One small thing for playability as well here with putting troops in and out of the seating area, and here you have the tile stud setup, and then on the older one you had the 4 stud setup, which is prone to getting figures' legs stuck while you pull the rest of their body off, and that's not great. So you can put a figure in here just like that, and you can actually have them hold on to the handlebar. The same can be said for 2013 here. Drop a figure in, and he can hold on to the handlebars like so. Now, where I think 2020 takes a huge leap, and I don't know if you want to, this is kind of a playability / design thing because it's definitely both, but if a kid's playing with it and they want to take the figure off, obviously with the 4 studs at the bottom, legs could get stuck, but the bigger thing is here, watch this, I'm just going to pull this off, I'm going to hold on to this and pull it off. Oh, well, there goes that, and now you got to put it back, that's a pain. Now if we hold the newer set and go to pull the Trooper off, we can literally pull the Trooper off without pulling the handlebars off, and I guess we broke a piece at the bottom, but that shouldn't happen every time. I'm not quite sure what the deal with that was. Seems like a fluke to me. Haven't had that one happen before. But you can pull it out without the handlebars, and that's a problem because then you got to put the handlebars back, both design and play-wise. So I think I've shown that the walker, the newer walker, is better for play. And you could say, hey, now you have your Droideka, and you could have, you know, the imaginative play. Well, the other set literally has an entire speeder extra, and I think that outplays a Droideka in this case. It has some stud shooters. It also has the ability to seat a figure in the center there. So I would say the speeder bike definitely trumps the Sniper Droideka if you are really going to try to make that case, and the playability in 2020 is just significantly better. Now let's talk design, because I think that's an important thing. Now, in this category, I also do want to talk slightly about displayability. And I think that if you were looking for like the best looking ATRT to display, the 2013 model is probably a better looking ATRT to display. I don't know. I mean, you could obviously display the set all the same, but if you're really looking for one that doesn't have like an ugly stud shooter on the front of it, then 2013 may be the way to go. Everything else about the 2020 version of the ATRT I think is better though. It has a slightly more compact design, which people have been asking for. People like to complain that LEGO ATRTs are oversized. However, they don't seem to care that literally every other LEGO Star Wars set is basically undersized. I don't understand the double standard, but that is a thing that people like to say, and so it's worth mentioning. I think some of the small refinements on the newer model, like with the handlebars, are pretty big. Like, that's a huge thing to be able to get down, and I guess the sticker design could also be another point where you could say, hey, I like the 2020 version better, although I think they both look fine. The newer one strays away from using the clear stickers, which you can see especially on that 501 there, can have air bubbles, and that just doesn't look great. The newer one does also have that speeder, which you can argue whether or not you think this is a good design. The stud shooters slightly take away from it for some people design-wise, but obviously it's a play feature, and then the rest of it looks pretty dang sharp. So, pretty short for this category here, but I think display-wise, I would go for 2013, but overall for this category, which is generally supposed to be design, I would go with 2020 and give it the point. As far as value goes, I think this is a pretty cut and dry category as well. On the left, for again, comparatively in today's money, $22 versus $30 on the right. For 22 bucks, it wasn't a bad deal back in the day. It's not like it was a set that people looked at and were like, hey, that's overpriced. What is LEGO thinking? Like, it was a fairly decent deal at $22. It wasn't anything to scoff at. But the 501st Battle Pack from 2020 just provides such great value for the price, with 4 501st troops, one of them being a jetpack trooper, and then 2 battle droids. I would say the 2 battle droids are easily worth what the Super Commando droid is worth, and then the jet trooper basically cancels out Yoda, and then the 3 501st troopers have to be worth more than the 1 501st trooper, right? As far as vehicles go, you get the ATRT, but the 2020 version has you covered there with a slightly less inaccurate scale ATRT that people like to complain about, and then the Sniper Droideka from 2020, I would say that that speeder provides more value than a Sniper Droideka that is very inaccurate. It doesn't really look like what it looks like in the Clone Wars, although I appreciate the effort in making that in the set. It was kind of cool to at least get one in LEGO one time. If you have 22 bucks here and 30 bucks here, you'd be way better off just spending the 30 bucks and getting more bang for your buck. I think that's just the best way to look at it. You'd absolutely get more bang for your buck here. At McDonald's, when they ask you, would you like to supersize that? You say yes, and you supersize it. And that's what this set is to that. I feel like I don't even have to talk about my opinion. I think this video has been pretty clear and concise with what I would think, and that is that the newer set is just way, way better than the original kind of version of this. Like, if you're going to pick one over the other, you got to get the newer set. And I also did a poll on my channel. I let you guys vote. You got to say in this one. And you guys voted 92% for the newer 75280 501st Legion Clone Trooper set. Only 8% of you thought this was the better set. I'm very curious why 8% of you, like that's still a substantial percentage for something that to me seems pretty cut and dry, but 8% of people thought this was a better set. I wonder if that stud shooter had something to do with that 8% of votes. I can only imagine that that's where a lot of that comes from, but who the heck knows? 8% of you did vote for the older version, but unfortunately just not even close to enough to award it the point for y'all's opinion. And that brings us to a final score of 6-0. The 501st Battle Pack is victorious. Are we surprised? No, but it was still cool to see these sets side by side in a video. I think that's kind of the point of a video like this, more so than actually finding out which one's better. Most people probably already have their opinion formed anyway. So that is the two sets. I thought it was pretty cool to look at them as they're kind of the two cheaper end sets to ever include 501st Troopers. The Z95 Headhunter from 2013, the only other set as of now to have a 501st Trooper, and that was $50. So these were pretty comparable, and it was kind of neat to do this. So let me know what y'all thought in the comments section below. Convince me why this set's better. You can't, because it's not. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. You can check out other LEGO Star Wars comparison videos on the end screen now.